some actors just shouldn't direct.
Unless you're Clint Eastwood.
No, stop, Clint. Stop.
And have a break. Just from all of
Not
that.
anymore, but his old filmography is great.
Oh,
now
yeah.
Now he just makes the same film over and over
What
again.
was the last one he did? The Mule? Did anyone see The Mule?
No, the last
No,
film
but
was
doesn't he
Richard
have
Jewell.
2 threesomes in that movie?
He has 2 threesomes in that movie.
Which is insane.
He directed it.
Yeah.
He was
directed
telling
himself
himself to do that.
His last film was Richard Jewell, though, wasn't it? Which wasn't bad.
Yeah.
Oh,
That was pretty good. That was good. I enjoyed that.
I've given up on Clint Eastwood directed movies. After that year where he put out Jersey Boys and American Sniper in the same year, I was like, I'm done.
Yeah,
I'm done.
Yeah.
Imagine
They were both trash.
Is he in his 90s?
Late 80s, mate? No, he's like 80 something.
He's half dead.
Imagine being in your late 80s and directing a film where you have 2 threesomes in it. That is insane.
I mean, if you got the money,
that's real. That's fucking hustle from him.
I'm guessing you've seen the Weekend Update where John Mulaney talk about it. That's why I went to go and see it. I was like, I need to find out what the fuck this movie's about.
Haven't seen it. I still haven't seen it, but I want to.
It is trash.
What's the context of them?
What, the threesomes? I don't even remember.
Are they with 4 different women, or are they with the same women twice?
4 different women.
Mental.
The man doesn't stop. They weren't scripted threesomes. They're just his groupies.
They were just natural, honest threesomes. That just happened on set, and they happened to be captured cinematically on film.
Nothing better than a natural, honest threesome. Right, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the Keeping It Real podcast. As always, I'm your host, James Porter, joined by my esteemed colleagues, Jack Austin and Calvin Starr. I'm going to come up with a new way to introduce you every time. I hope you've realised. Before we get started...
I wondered when we made the...
Head to Twitter and make sure you're following us at Keeping It Real UK for all our latest episodes. Today, we are reviewing Joe Wright's The Woman in the Window, starring Amy Adams and about 17 other actors that get wasted. Jack, I'm going to recap the plot.
Not drunk, by the way.
Yeah. 2 of the Captain Americas. So, an agoraphobic woman who mixes medication with Merlot witnesses the murder of a woman that she only met once. She assumes the crime was committed by her husband, Gary Oldman, which is very believable because he's a total bastard. Obviously, no one believes her, or the film would be super short. Other stuff happens, and then Wyatt Russell has sex with Julianne Moore, which is really awesome for him. Amy Adams tries to deal with her trauma, and then the son of a dead woman... then Amy, that really threw me. Amy Adams tries to deal with her trauma, and then the son of the dead woman turns out to be a budding serial killer. All this ridiculous amount of trauma, for some reason, cures Amy Adams' previous trauma and agoraphobia, and at the end she moves out of her house. And also a side note of, surely, after kicking a teenager through the skylight of your home, you'd never be able to sell that. Surely.
Probably not, no.
That I can't imagine that.
Forever.
Within 9 months as well.
Be a good deal, to be honest.
Yeah.
I reckon.
Within
double murder. Nice. Steal.
What? Three floors of skylight and a double murder. Incredible.
The bodies are still there. Yeah, Jack, you called so you called Gary Oldman what did you call him? An insufferable bastard. A total bastard. So was everyone in this movie.
Yeah, they were all
except
the worst.
The teenager, which we'll get to that. I've never watched a film with more unlikable characters.
Yeah.
And all they were red herrings just to throw you off the scent of who the actual murderer was. And I hated it. Wyatt Russell, oh my God, boiled my blood.
Why was he unlikable?
He was just shouting at everything. I was like, please stop. I mean, Amy Adams is having a tough time, clearly. Clearly she's going through some shit. Stop screaming at her. Yeah,
I didn't appreciate when he goes up to check the skylight for some reason to, allude us to the fact that it's easily breakable.
And just scares her.
And then scares her. You know that she's a clinically anxious woman. Why would he do that? He knows. She knows. She's crippled by anxiety.
And then he'd probably get pissed off with her if she screamed.
Yeah, it's insane.
Oh, grow up, Amy Adams. Yeah, this movie was, I mean, we just talked about Mainstream, which wasn't great, but fuck me, this was definitely the worst movie I watched all week. This was tripe.
It was.
What a
Yeah.
phenomenal waste of talent, both in front and behind the camera. Because Joe Wright's a good director. And how did they get the level of cast that they did for actors that really, they didn't do anything in this movie? Julianne Moore did nothing.
Yeah.
No, she
How
died.
dare
She died
you
at
waste
sex with
Julianne Moore?
She had sex with Wyatt Russell off screen.
I was going to say off
Yeah,
camera.
she
Yeah,
died.
that doesn't count.
Yeah.
Oh, can we talk about some weird stylistic choices in this movie? But the one that really got me was when Julianne Moore is being stabbed to death. Just the blood splashes on the camera. I was like,
Yeah.
did we need that? That doesn't seem like the movie that we're in.
And obviously they try and hide the killer, but to hide the killer's just not even there, is it? She's just bouncing around.
Yeah.
Like it literally, she walks to like the window frame, and then she falls back, like not even falls, like she's been punched through a wall.
Yeah.
Launches back. She's got like a thing in a knife in her chest, and she's just going like, "Help me!" And I was like, "Oh, this is awful."
We skipped through a bit there, but while the first two acts aren't necessarily like poorly directed, they're just wildly uninteresting. Like I just didn't care about. I wasn't suspicious of anyone because they were all just equally as unlikable as one another. So I was like, I really don't care who it is. Really, just tell me soon so I can stop watching this. But the third act was, oh my, I was baffled. Why suddenly did that teenager turn from such a sweet, nervous boy into Jason Voorhees, scraping his bloody knife up the stairs? I was like, come on, man. This is so out of character and so jarring to what we just watched for the last hour and a half. It was so odd.
He was really nice, and then he literally basically was just like, killing people arouses me, essentially. Is essentially on paper what he said.
Yeah.
And he was like, I just love like when the light goes out of their eyes, and I was like, that is, oh god. I was bored.
You need Jesus.
Yeah. No,
I can only imagine that, because this is based on a book, isn't it? I imagine it sounds like that. So I can only imagine the material is to blame, and I suppose that it did get, adapted into a movie. So I imagine there was some promise in the book.
No, apparently the book, I haven't read it, but apparently the book is good. Like it is a bestseller.
Well, whoever
it
adapted
manages
this
to
into a
capture quite a lot of the
script,
psychologically what it's talking about. This film seemed like it almost budded out of Joe Wright's love for Alfred Hitchcock. And,
which is so cockily compares itself to Rear Window at the beginning.
I at the start I was like, God, no, please don't tell me this is another not remake of Rear Window. Did you see Disturbia with that with Shia LaBeouf? That is terrible. And they
much
said
better than this though.
They said that wasn't a remake, which it is.
Yeah.
And who doesn't love a Hitchcock film? But this film is hardly worth anyone's time, to be honest. And my advice to anyone who's going to watch this is go and watch an actual Hitchcock film. Go and watch Rear Window, because this film captures none of the sort of claustrophobic, anxiety-inducing suspense that Rear Window does. And this film almost does seem like an absolute remake of it, but I know it's adapted from the book, so I can't really tell if the book was based on Rear Window as well, or is it just Joe Wright's decision to have all these sort of Hitchcockian techniques. The one point I will give this film is I do think it was nice to look at, but I guess we've come to expect good cinematography in most Joe Wright films. His films always look nice. I thought some of the shots, like the one where he scrapes his knife for the wall, were actually emulated sort of that Hitchcockian style quite well, because he does have those things in his film, but the suspense leading up to them sets it a tone where that is actually quite scary. But this doesn't, because like you said, the first two acts are completely different to the third. But other than the luck, it manages to capture none of the tension that you get in a Hitchcock film, especially Rear Window, which is by far one of his best films. Apart from it looking nice, I mean, the film just falls short meeting anything Hitchcock would have done, like, just massively. So I do feel this film was born out of his love for Hitchcock. That's like you were on about the shot of the Julianne Moore getting murdered and then the blood splattering on the screen. If you were watching a Hitchcock film, everyone would be on board with that.
Yeah.
Because the way he frames and sets his films up, all of these things work. To just shoehorn them in as a little nod to Hitchcock, and then having every now and then having like a classic film play on the TV while she's sleeping, like that's like nothing.
Rear Window is already going to be in my mind because of what this film is. Don't keep reminding me to maybe put on a better movie instead of watching yours, because this just oh my God.
This takes it one step further, because she starts using a camera just because she owns a camera. When in Rear Window, the point of him using a camera is he's a photographer who can't work because his leg's broken at the moment.
Yeah.
Like, what's the point of her having a camera? They're just trying to emulate, just copying Hitchcock in a way. When I felt like this film,
it felt lazier than paying homage. It was ripping it off, really.
Yeah, and the revelation you talked about at the end of the film with the young boy, the families actually want to be serial killer. That's just a weird misdirection no one asked for, just a misdirection for the sake of being a misdirection, to try and be smart or clever with the way you reveal your film. There was never any like little hints that it was him all the way through. That's the sort of things Hitchcock was able to sort of get across in his films. You did feel like everyone was responsible, no matter who they were. You never thought for a second that anyone was sort of innocent. And I don't know, it just falls flat on his face here.
You need to, in movies like this, where a whodunit basically, you need to leave signs around and little clues to who it was, instead of just such a tonal shift of oh it's him, to be surprising. But if you watch through it again, there's no sign of it being the child. You know what I mean? So it's
because sometimes sometimes the obvious choice is the best choice. Just because people aren't expecting it doesn't mean it can't be done in an interesting way. You look at Knives Out, like everyone thought it was Chris Evans, and they were like, no, you can't be, because it's the obvious choice. And then it was him, and it's still satisfying, even though you're told from the beginning basically that it is him. Like, I don't know, I just feel like sometimes filmmakers try to do too much to try and give a satisfying ending that no one will expect. Like, I think that like they're trying to shock people, and like have this film talked about, when sometimes doing less is more in this case.
You just need to earn it, really. Earn those surprises. But this film did no legwork for that. It was just throwing unlikable characters at us at every opportunity. So we go, oh, maybe it's them, never suspecting the kid. Oh, it's the kid. Well, that doesn't work. That doesn't make sense for what you've been setting up.
All the, like you said about bad characters or like unlikable characters, all the performances from otherwise great established actors as well, just to me were so one note, to the point where I lost total interest in the characters in this scene, which it was meant to be like quite an explosive sort of anxiety-inducing scene, I imagine, where Gary Oldman confronts Amy Adams in her house, where he slaps her son with this like weird little jump scare they tried to get away with by him slapping his son. But this scene, both actors just essentially chew up scenery and attempt to sort of like weirdly outact each other and who can be the loudest or most emotional at that moment. And that just didn't work for me. It really lost me there.
Yeah, Amy Adams is the only actor who really gets anything to do, and even though it's something to do, it's not good.
Yeah, but all her, me and Jack were talking, her most recent roles all seem to be like this, just very like, she's always playing some sort of middle-class person with sort of addiction troubles, and she's always glassy, red-eyed through the entire film, and she just sort of mopes about. I feel like there's been like 3 or 4 performances in the last couple of years where that seems to be the role. She's like almost typecast in that role now.
Yeah,
and I just don't. Yeah.
Because she is capable of great performances. Like, I think the last one that really blew me away was Arrival.
Or
loved her
or
in that.
Nocturnal Animals.
Nocturnal
was that the
Animals.
same year?
Yeah.
Was that the same year?
2016, yeah.
Yeah.
What a good year for her, and she didn't get nominated for it either. Shocking. Right. Do we want to talk about this anymore, or do we want to rate it?
That's brilliant.
I
Oh,
just want to tell you that my favorite part of this film was when it was over, and I turned to Calvin and said, "What did you think about that?" And he just said, "That was horrible."
Netflix, you can have that.
That's one free from Calvin. That was horrible.
Right, Jack, we'll start with your rating.
I'm going to go for a 3. I actually kind of preferred it to mainstream, but that's not saying much. Because that was absolute piss. Yeah, I think the characters were just so unlikable to the point where I didn't care who did it. I was glad that I'm glad that the conclusion came so that it could just be over. And if you're going to do a whodunit, do it interestingly, like what Cal was saying about Knives Out. I think that's bang on. Like, I don't give a shit if you don't give me anything to go on, or like trying to work it out for myself, then I'm not going to enjoy the conclusion. So yeah, a 3.
A 3. Carmen?
I think I go for a 3 as well, and that those points will basically be given for the only really good point I had to make on this film, which was the sort of cinematography and some of the stylistic sort of choices to try and be Hitchcockian did feel like that, but they were so out of place. But it's a Joe Wright film. It's going to be shot really, really well, and the use of lighting is going to be like really on point. Yeah, so 3 out of 10.
I'm going to give this a 2. Somehow they wrangled together an incredible cast with a shocking script, and the end really made me laugh. I was very bored throughout, but the third act it gave me some giggles because it was ridiculous. And I was like, when did this turn into a serial killer movie? This is ridiculous. So a 2. So same score as mainstream, guys. That is a 2.5 from us.
What a solid week.
And we flipped.
We can only pray that next week is better. Although maybe not, because Saw's out.
Spiral, baby.
Not a lot of hope for Spiral. And that's the show for today, guys. Thanks as always for watching. Head to our Twitter and follow us at Keeping It Real UK. From there, you can find links to our Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Please like, rate, and subscribe where you can. Also, hit that bell icon on YouTube if you want to be notified when new episodes drop every week. We'll be back next week with our review of Army of the Dead. Until then, keep it real.